And I said, "Oui, honey, you can butter my French baguette any day." And oh, hi there, sorry about that, didn't see ya. Welcome back to another Cold Blood and Cocktails. As always, leave all your crap at the door because this is my God, what is happening with these? This is a house of love, of positivity, all that good crap, you know? Oh my God, this dress has a slip. Come through, Amazon. Oh, how are we doing today? I hope you're good. I'm doing wonderful. All right, let's get into today's story, shall we? Not before our cocktail. Our cocktail today is Death in the Afternoon. This was actually created by Ernest Hemingway, and it's absinthe mixed with champagne, and it kind of gives you a little bit of a high. Bubbly, bitter, and elegant till it kicks you in the ass. It's very simple, just 1.5 ounces of absinthe, 4 ounces of chilled champagne, and boom. Which does sound divine, however, I'm doing a detox from any alcohol or Mary Jane, so I have a shake. It's actually very healthy. It's a lot of good calories, too. Oh, not the best warm, though. I will get back on the cocktail soon. I'm just doing a total body makeover, inside and out. Do I have blueberry in my teeth? No, we're good. Okay, so let's dive into today's case, shall we? We're taking our asses all the way back to Le Mans, France in 1933. This was a town known for wine, nuns, car races, and sometimes all three things at the same time. Count me in, bitch. Honestly, that would be such a good sight. Could you see a nun driving a hot rod? Unfortunately, today's case is not about any of that. This is about some maids, some eyeballs, and a crime so brutal that even the French were like, "Bon Dieu, putain, mais c'est croissant." Did I say that right? 3 years of French and I can't even ask where the fucking bathroom is. But like so many of our cases, it begins not with murder, but with mommy issues. And shocking incontinence issues, which is why I can always count on my depends. No, but for real, Christine and Leah Papin were born into absolute fucking chaos. Their parents, Gustave and Clemence, were like living condom ads. Gustave was an alcoholic, he was violent, and a sexual abuser towards the oldest daughter, Amelia. And Clemence, she was a regular Patty Prude. Vain, cold, and controlling, and kind of a see you next Tuesday kind of lady. The type of woman who thought more about what the neighbors thought rather than whether or not her kids had shoes. We've all known one or two. I need water. Look at this bitch, I'm drinking one of these a day. When Amelia did finally come forward about the abuse, Clemence's reaction was not great. She was like, "Screw you, you little toenail clipping," and sent her off to a Catholic orphanage and pretended it never happened. And that was Clemence's parenting style. Christine, the middle kid, was next. She got farmed out to relatives like a prize-winning hog and then eventually got drop-kicked into the same orphanage as her sister. Leah, the youngest, got booted off to another set of relatives and then she joined Christine later on. So now we've got two little girls raised by trauma, which, as we've seen, is just a great recipe for mental stability. Delicious. Tastes like SpaghettiOs. Now, Christine, she was sharp but kind of moody and stubborn, and at one point she said she wanted to be a nun, which honestly I support. Like, if anyone needs to be locked away in a cell with only a rosary and no human contact, it was her. But Clemence, in her usual toxic fashion, was like, no nunnery for you. You will have no purpose whatsoever, and then when you do grow up, you'll have to clean someone else's toilet for 5 francs a week. Off you go, you little spawn of Satan. Leah, on the other hand, wouldn't say shit about shit. She was passive and sweet and would abso-fucking-lutely bury your body in the back if her sister told you to. Just idolized her like a young gay to a Britney Spears poster. Eventually, both girls did outgrow the orphanage, but when they were there, they were bonded tighter than that time I accidentally glued a Lego to my dinghy. Yes, accident. These girls didn't have normal friendships or relationships. They had each other and that was it. No boyfriends, no gal pals to talk shit with. No hobbies, just endless work and a possibly weird sisterhood that somehow felt safer than the world outside. They bounced around as maids for a while, but then in 1927 they landed what seemed like a stable gig in Le Mans for the Lancelin family? Lachlan family? What was their name? Lancelin family, that's it. Yes. There was a Mr. Rene, a retired lawyer, and Madame Leone, his wife, who had the personality of a sungrass-stained flip-flop and the warmth of a wet sock. God, I know a few of those. And then, of course, their adult daughter, Genevieve, who still lived at home because they're rich. She just had a wing of the house, I guess. The Papin sisters were hired to cook, clean, and most importantly, to shut the fuck up and never say a word, which they did with robotic precision. For 7 years, too. They were model maids, immaculate, diligent. Creepy as fuck, but efficient. I just picture those weird little girls from The Shining dusting my tchotchkes. Ugh. But here's the thing about living maids in the 30s. You have no life. You live to work and serve, and if you have the midday shits, you better hope all those Kegels paid off because you ain't going. But they were already so conditioned to obedience, it didn't even seem weird to them. But there were a few cracks in the wallpaper, like Madame Lancelin was reportedly a control freak with a butt plug made of spikes or something. This lady was mean. If bitch-assery were ever to be in a dictionary, which I haven't checked, it would have her name under it. She'd even do that shit where she'd inspect for dust with white gloves and lose her shit over fingerprints. Allegedly, she got so pissed at one of the girls that she yeeted the sister's head into a banister. I'm sorry, but if my boss at Joanne fucking Fabrics had ever done that, I'd be giving them a lobotomy with a crochet hook. The lady was psycho. And it's not like the sisters sisters would go out dancing each Saturday or have one-night stands to catch a bone break. In fact, they just never went out or had fun. If they left, it was strictly for errands to run for the house. On their rare days off, they'd spend it alone together, walking silently like ghosts on a leash. The people in town thought they were weird as shit, too. I mean, could you blame them? The two sisters would just walk through town like the freaking Handmaid's Tale and not look at anyone. No friends, no lovers, just each other. Always each other. I don't have a single person in my life that I could spend more than like 2 hours max with, especially a relative. Like, there's the door. But these girls were very tight, and when that kind of closeness simmers in silence long enough, eventually it fucking boils. Winter comes around, and it's cold and gray and boring, the kind of weather where you either drink a lot of mulled wine or murder somebody with a hammer. No in between. I think this was the 7-year mark for working as maids for the Lancelin, which would normally be fine, but imagine being trapped in a house that long with zero freedom, under constant surveillance, doing the exact same shit every day for a woman who would beat your ass with an umbrella if there was a spot on a dish. As one could expect, the tensions were high. Maybe a little bit too much estrogen in the waters, I'm not sure. At night before bed, the girls didn't pray. They just shit-talked the whole family like all up and down, and they started to think like, fuck these guys, right? Christine had started to get kind of weird and defiant, and at one point she refused to eat anything that wasn't served to Madam first. And Leah, she followed whatever her sister did like a lost puppy. And Madam, she just hated them more and more with every passing year. She just thought they were ungrateful little skanky skunks. She'd call them lazy, despite them literally scrubbing her pee out of her chamber pot and bed sheets. But the Lancelins didn't fire them, which is just wild. Even though tensions were high, they kept the girls on, maybe because they were cheap, or because rich people love keeping unhappy employees just to feel powerful, who the hell knows. But at this point, it's February 2nd of 1933, a chilly Thursday that would make your nuggets pop up past your belly button. Christine goes and picks up the iron from the repair shop, but the moment she plugs it in back at the house, it short circuits and blows up all the fuses. Boom, lights out, which really is no biggie, like I've done that. Well, no, this was a whole freaking event because now all the people in this huge-ass old dark house were gonna be home soon, and we can't have them taking off their golden pearls in the dark. Christine starts to panic. She knows her lady boss is gonna flip a table like one of the Real Housewives of Who Gives a Fuck. She tries to fix it, but no luck. The whole house is just off. By the time Madame and Genevieve come home from their errands, it's already early evening. The place is dark, which immediately pisses Madame off. The bitch's shoes are barely off, and she's already shrieking like a banshee. She demands to know what the fresh hell happened. Christine sputters and tries to explain the iron, the fuse, the blackout, but Madame's not having it. Madame starts yelling and kicking and screaming, calling poor Christine a dirty pay-per-view 2-cent tramp. And that's it. Christine snaps. Something primal just ripped through her brain like a lightning bolt. It's like she took a bump of angel dust and chased it with a 5-hour energy. She wasn't in control anymore. She lunged at Genevieve, the daughter, but she doesn't punch her and she doesn't slap her. Christine jams her fingers into Genevieve's face and gouges out her freaking eyeballs. Ugh. Right there in the stairwell, no hesitation, no warm-up, no pre-fighting stretching, just full-on corneas underneath the fingernails. Ugh. Genevieve screams, Madame freaks, and Leah, sweet, quiet, dead-eyed Leah's like, fuck it, and she joins in too. She turns to Madame and starts clawing at her face like she's fucking possessed. She gouges the lady's eyes out, not by accident, not in a panic, but with perfect precision. As though she'd been picturing this moment every time she scooped out melon balls like... 4 eyeballs, 2 girls, 1 cup. At this point, the women are screaming and bleeding and stumbling around completely blind. So Christine, fueled by the kind of demonic momentum that personally gets me through my workouts, she runs downstairs and grabs whatever weapon she can find. She comes back with a hammer and a kitchen knife, and why half-ass it and stop there when there's a heavy as shit pewter pitcher? I mean, damn, Mama's just using everything in the kitchen. Together, the sisters bludgeon and butcher Madame and Genevieve like they're tenderizing meat. They smash skulls, they crush faces, they stabby stab here, stabby stab there, and at one point they slice off the lady's butt cheeks. This isn't just murder, it's ritualistic and it's symbolic. It's 7 years of repression and a lifetime of unjust unleashed in one grotesque moment. The walls, the stairs, the floor look like the set of Saw 4, just absolutely disgusting. And Christine and Leah, they just wash up. They clean their hands, they put the weapons aside like they're done doing dishes, they go upstairs, lock the door, strip off their blood-soaked clothes, and crawl into bed together. One of them lit a candle and they say to each other, well, that's a good job done. Like they just folded some towels or alphabetized the pantry. And they lay there just waiting like 2 little girls who finally stood up to a big bad monster under the bed and became monsters instead. Meanwhile, Renee, the husband of the house, is pacing around a dinner party like, where the fuck is my wife? If she's getting frisky with a salami in the meat cabinet without me again, I'm gonna be pissed. He was supposed to meet Madame and Genevieve for a fancy little soiree, but they never showed up. He shrugs it off at first. Maybe they're late, maybe they're shopping. So Renee heads home. The house is totally dark, completely shut, no lights, no sound, and the the front door is bolted from the inside, which is a big-ass red flag. You can tell they did not watch murder mysteries. He called his son-in-law and went straight to the po-po. Oh god, I have to sneeze. Oh, what's happening? A few minutes later, the cop is dragging his nuts over the back garden wall. He wraps his hand in a t-shirt, busts out the back window, and walks into hell. The house is like a fucking Stephen King wet dream. Right there in the entryway are two completely mangled corpses. At first glance, they were so disfigured that the cops think maybe they might be animals, or men, or maybe the maids. That's how brutal this was. He doesn't even recognize who they are. One eye was found in the folds of one of the lady's scarves, and the other was just on the step, just there chilling, like a little cherry tomato. The cop calls for backup, then has a puke and a piss in the back garden. The police search the entire house expecting to find more bodies or maybe even a murderer lurking in the shadows. What they find is nothing. Just one flicker of candlelight from the attic where the maids lived. Suspicious? Should we take a suspicious shot of smoothie? Oh, it keeps getting warmer. The cops clench their holes and creep upstairs, but the door is locked. There's no sounds, no movement, so they knocked. Housekeeping. But no response, nothing. So they call the locksmith, break in, and what do they see? Why, Christine and Leah in bed. Naked and very calm, lying next to each other like they're on a girls' weekend and not 20 feet away from a crime scene. They're like, oh, what? Is it morning already? You want me to make you an everything bagel? But sitting on the chair next to him, the hammer, still covered in hair and brain matter, just sitting there like it's new decor from TJ Maxx. The cops are stunned and horrified, and Christine, she doesn't scream, she doesn't cry, she just says, oh, that was pretty icky, wasn't it? Leah says barely anything and just nods. She was just following Christine the way she always had, and they confess right on the spot. No hesitation, no emotion. They tell the cops everything they did in full detail. As one could imagine, the cops are like, what the fuck? Who the fuck are these creepy little sisters? All of France is freaking the fuck out, but the Papin sisters, chill as a bill. Cool as a cucumber cocktail. That's what we should have had today. But it's like whatever demon had been living in that attic finally left their bodies, or maybe they just settled in? I don't know, but obviously they were under arrest. Which didn't seem to bug them too much at first because it already felt like they had been imprisoned for years. This was just the first time someone noticed. Which I do have to say, they could have quit at any point, so let's not be too sympathetic here. They literally gouged eyes out. The sisters were immediately separated, thrown into two different cells, and Christine loses her freaking mind, just goes apeshit. She stopped eating, she was screaming all night, every night. She would try to throw herself against the prison walls. She was just absolutely bonkers. The officials finally cave and give her one supervised reunion with Leah. Christine launches herself into Leah's arms like a woman who had just got airdropped out of hell. She grabs the girl's face, strokes her hair, starts unbuttoning Leah's blouse and whispering, please say yes, please say yes. Yeah, so maybe we should talk about the incestuous rumors, because they did sleep naked together, like, all the time. And once press got a hold of that information and this little prison moment, they went full tabloid gremlin. Suddenly the girls weren't just murderers, they were pervs. Lesbian lovers, unnatural monsters. But let's be real for a minute, was there actually any confirmed sexual contact between the sisters? No, never. Did they deny being incestuous? Yes. Oh, fuck, hair again. Oh god, I'm brushing hair with a meat stick package. But the obsession that the media had with the sisters' bond being more than sisterly kinda says a lot more about the public than it does about them. Still, that weird blouse moment, kinda hard to unsee. And Christine just keeps spiraling. She'd start babbling and then go completely silent. And then she tried to gouge out her own fucking eyeballs in her jail cell. Like, seriously, girl, pick your battle and stick to one, jeez. She would dig her fingers into her own face and start reenacting the exact same trauma that she inflicted on Madame and Genevieve, just screaming her ass off, bleeding down the face, just totally detached from reality. She got restrained, put into a straitjacket, and sent to a mental institution where she sunk into full-on textbook madness. Meanwhile, Leah, just stone cold. She barely says boo anymore. She shows no emotion. It's like she left her soul in that attic and is now just waiting for whatever's next. She doesn't ask to see Christine, doesn't write, just stares. So here comes the trial in September of 1933. Oh, that's a long time ago. The city is just a zoo with reporters, spectators, weirdos hoping to see the ladies kiss. Curious locals showed up hoping for a public guillotine and maybe some fresh chocolate croissants. People packed the courtroom just to catch a glimpse of the sisters, trying to figure out, like, what snapped. Christine arrives as just a shell of herself, gaunt, feral-eyed. Leah looks more like a zombie from a B-list movie than the girl that she was. She won't answer any questions. At one point, she straight up says, from now on, I'm deaf and dumb. Oh, the drama of it all. The prosecution is like, I know they sound insane, but they really are fine, aren't they? Like, this all seems very planned. The fact that they went for the eyes first means this was definitely revenge. These girls weren't driven by delusion, they were driven by rage. The defense says, look at them, these aren't murderers, they're broken girls who cracked under abuse, isolation, and untreated mental illness. So psychiatrists are called in, and the experts declare that while neither sister is psychotic in the traditional sense, they are suffering from something rare and terrifying, folie à deux. Did I say that right? It's basically shared psychosis. One dominant personality, which would be Christine, infects the mind of a weaker one, Leah, and they feed off each other's traumas, their fears, and obsessions until they become their own little universe of madness. No one else in and no one else out, and when that world gets threatened, they destroy whatever's trying to break them apart. Or at least that's what doctors say, and honestly, it does kind of track. But the jury, they don't give a flying fuck. They take 40 minutes to decide. Christine, guilty. And with that, death by guillotine. Leah was also found guilty, but she only got 10 years of hard labor. And just like that, the bloodiest act in France is over. At least legally. Emotionally and spiritually, the story's just getting started. Because Christine, she never actually gets the blade. In a classic French twist, the president changes her sentence to life in prison, not that Christine really gives a rat's ass. By now, she's gone. That waffle box is empty. She just gazes off into the distance. After the trial, she's moved to an asylum, and she never really comes back from whatever hellhole her brain wandered into. She'd stop eating, she refused to speak, and she would just stare into her yogurt cup like it owed her money. She writes a few desperate letters begging to see Leah. She begs the staff, she begs the director of the hospital, like, please let me see my sister, please, I'll die without her. And nobody listens, and guess what? She dies. She ended up starving herself when she was just 32, 4 years after the murder. No guillotine, just a withered girl rotting in a mental hospital. It wasn't redemption, it wasn't punishment, it was just bleak. And Leah, she survives, but I don't know if that's better or worse. She ended up serving 8 of her 10-year sentence and was released in 1941 for good behavior. And she was quiet, she didn't cause trouble, she just existed. She ended up skipping town and moving under a fake name. Some say it was Marie, others don't even know. But she did end up rooming with her mother Clemence for a bit. Yes, the same mother who ruined her whole damn childhood. And eventually she finds work as a hotel maid doing exactly the thing that she was doing before. She goes back to scrubbing floors, making beds, cleaning up after strangers, like she didn't just spend almost a decade in prison for butchering her boss. In her mind, it's like her past was just a really bad dream that she could mop away with bleach and Bon Ami. And for a long time, everyone thought she died in 1982 until the year 2000. A documentary filmmaker named Claude Ventura starts poking around. And what did he find? Why, a little old woman in a hospice care facility. A stroke victim. She couldn't speak, partially paralyzed, but allegedly, it was Leah. No confirmed name, no big reveal, just an old withered woman laying in a bed, silent and still. This woman ended up dying in 2001, and if it really was her, it means she died at 89. But what the fuck is that, right? How tragic for everyone. I wonder what happened to the husband after that. I didn't do any research on him. But this is just messed up from like every single way. It's like there was no fighting chance for them. They had abuse as children, then in the orphanage. All throughout their entire life, they just didn't know how to deal with that. Like, how would they? God, this just put a damper in my dilly bean. But my loves, thank you so much for being here, and don't forget the fabulous Gerard Cosmetics collab. I am so excited to see the looks that y'all make with this. Oh, make my nips all hard. But I just hope y'all have a beautiful day. Go take some deep breaths, go for a walk after this. Oh, and don't forget to pick your baggage back up at the door. Thank you for leaving it there. Maybe go throw it into traffic or something. Just get rid of it. We don't need any negativity. And like always, please follow me on social media, comment, like, subscribe, all that jizzy jazz. And don't forget, if you see somebody who needs a hug, for fuck's sake, give them one.